like I can tell you with 100% certainty, it's not the fact that I have four anchors in my shoulder. It's the fact that I was meticulous about my physical therapy. And then when I was done with physical therapy, I started a program that continued to strengthen everything that I needed to be strengthened,
Right,
and continued
exactly.
to keep me healthy.
That's Cooper Anderson, torn labrum. 7 months post-op, he was sitting 79 miles an hour. Over the course of our training, we were able to get him to 91, 92 this last spring at Paul D. Camp Community College, and in the process earned him a Division I scholarship to Stonehill College in the Northeast Conference. I've never been in the same room as Cooper. He's never been in the same room as me. He lives in Tennessee, I live in Colorado. Cooper's road back to dominance was harder than most people watching this video will ever have to go through. And he initially thought remote training didn't work either. If you are serious about getting better and are willing to do the work, stay and watch what changed his mind.
Cooper, give the people who aren't familiar with you just the background of who you are, where you're at, where you go to school, and everything like that.
So obviously my name is Cooper Anderson. I now play at Stonehill College. I transferred from a junior college called Paul D. Camp, and Volunteer State Community College before that. Stonehill College is a Division I in the Northeastern Conference, the NEC. Um, yeah, I mean it's out in Boston. Yeah,
Let's go. So
yeah.
before we really get into what the program has been like for you, can you describe what was before we started conversating, before we started this program together, where were you at as a player, velocity wise, health wise, playing time wise?
So in high school, I was kind of one of those guys that like threw hard, but like I had no idea where I was going and no idea what I was doing on the mound. I had no idea how to pitch sequence or anything like that. And then I had a shoulder injury that was very likely me tearing my labrum going into my freshman year. And I came into my freshman year like 83, 85 after being, 88, 90, 89, 91 in high school. Um, and then at the end of my freshman year, my arm kind of finally just went dead. Um, and that was when it was like, all right, like, PT, they were trying to get me back without surgery. I had an MRI, kind of saying like, um, I had a torn labrum, and uh, that was like the time of PT that whole summer. And that was when we started working together. Just like, needed some extra stuff trying to get me back, and then obviously I needed surgery. So got surgery, went through the whole physical therapy, and then we started working together again last what was that, like June, July
Yeah, last
last year.
summer. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I mean we've been training for training for a year now, but it's really been more like two because we were training before. Um, you know, and that was huge, especially for my PT in the first part before surgery and even after surgery. Like having that program was massive.
What did that time when you were hurt? What did that teach? Like when you were going through the PT, when you were going through all like the downtime, what about that time? What was value about that time, or what did it teach you?
Um, I think the biggest thing was recovery. You know, I mean, we've talked about it before about how, you know, like an injury will teach you how to recover, and the importance of arm care, and the importance of your mobility, the importance of the stuff that's not that people don't see. That's the biggest thing. Is that's what it taught me was the importance of the small things. The little details, the taking the arm care seriously, doing it religiously. Like I think that's the biggest thing. I've definitely like have once again like having an arm care program was not something that I really had before, and now like having it after a big injury like a labrum tear was huge, because there wasn't really a day where I was like worried that like, all right, like I'm gonna mess this up and I'm gonna get hurt again.
Could you go something you talked about? We talked about last week that I really liked that I think you could go a little more in depth in is you remember we talked about like earning your next day.
Yeah.
Go,
Yeah.
what was that realization like? How do you frame that?
So it was really kind of in the fall. So obviously like we have two really high intent days and one higher intent day that's kind of like a medium-ish day. Um pretty much every week. And the days in between it's recovery throwing. And before like last summer and the fall, like I didn't understand what recovery throwing was. It was like, why am I throwing to recover? And then this fall it was okay, like I understand it, like it's that those light days where you're 50, 60%, you might not be building anything, but you're earning those days where those high intent days where you are building something, because if you're not fully recovered for a high intent day, like it's not going to be a great high intent day. Your feel is probably going to be down, your arm's going to be tired, your body might be tired, and really taking those days in between those recovery days at stride and being like, all right, like I have to kind of turn off my ego today, and I have to understand that, hey, like I cannot throw hard today. Like, today's not the day to do that. That's how you earn that high intent day.
Exactly. So why did you decide to go remote with this program when you're like in coming back from injury, even before the first injury when we first started working together? Then we had the time off
Mhm.
with the injury, and then we came back to it. Like, what were you weighing this against?
Um, Honestly, it was um, kind of like a screw it. I'm gonna watch my language here. It was a screw it moment for me. It was kind of like a not a last ditch effort, but it was one of those where it was like, I don't have a program. I don't know what I'm doing. My pitching coaches in the past like have been knowledgeable, but not where I have everything structured out, and I knew that I needed something structured. Um, and like one of your videos came up on my Instagram reels, and I was like, like this guy seems cool. Like let's try it out. Let's see what happens here. And obviously like I reached out and you know kind of been great since then.
The rest is history.
Yeah, pretty much.
So when you first started this whole thing, like what was your first, I guess, actual impression? Like when you first saw me on this camera or when we first saw the program, were you skeptical, nervous, unsure if this was the right thing to do? You're like, you're telling mom and dad, like, hey, I met this guy on the internet, like, and I want him to train me to be a better baseball player.
Oh, I was like, okay, this guy's like insane. Like
Oh yeah.
I saw the program. I was like, this guy's crazy.
Oh yeah.
But it was just like it was so much more than I had ever done.
Mhm.
And I've always been a hard worker, but like I've never done like I said, like the little things like the mobility and stuff. And I think it was the mobility program that really like I was like, am I really supposed to do this? Like I think the one was like it was one of the beginner ones. It was like side split push-ups or something
Mhm.
like that. And I was
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
But as we got kind of further on and we talked more, I got a deeper understanding of why I'm doing everything. And I think that's the biggest part is like if you're doing something and you don't know why, then why are you doing it? Um and I've always been, somebody who wants to know why I'm doing something. It kind of pisses all my coaches off, but like I want to know why, you know. And I think that like once again, like understanding why was like the biggest turn for me because I will say like the first like couple weeks I was definitely like, all right, like I don't know if this is gonna work at all.
Yeah.
But once again, like I was also at the time doing my own research on baseball training and stuff like that. I was like as I did more research and as I gathered more knowledge for myself, the more I realized like, all right, this is legit. Like this is a great program that I'm on.
Right. So, like, don't aren't realizing this, like, you and I have never been in the same room together. You and I are in completely different parts of the country. Like, probably what the closest we've ever been to is probably 1,000 miles. Like, you're in Tennessee
Yeah.
right now, and I'm in Colorado. So,
Yeah.
you're a 15, 16 hour drive from me. It's like we've never been in the same
Hmm.
room. We've never been in this. What would you say to someone watching this or a pitcher who thinks that he needs an ink that or sorry, that he would say to a pitcher who thinks he needs an in-person coach, but is actually getting a better value out of you and I have never been in the same room together.
Um, Honestly, if you're just diligent about your work and you work hard and you get a ton of video, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. Even a lot of in-person coaches will take video of you and then watch the video back. I'm sure you do that, like with your in-person guys. And it it's kind of all on the fact that you believe in the program and you believe that what you're doing is correct and you just work your ass off at it. That's the thing. um I'd say like the biggest thing is having the discipline to go out every day and execute the program, and even in person you're gonna have to do that anyway. you know um I'll say like I'll say I don't really think that it makes that big of a difference. Guys see remote and they're like, oh well, I'm never going to get in person training. But I mean, once again, if you're doing the right things, then it's not going to matter.
Right. Right, for sure. Was there a specific stretch in this program? And give me an actual window of weeks or months where this really got hard. Like, did you, were there areas where you doubted it if it was working or you wanted to quit? Like those moments like we maybe stalled in progress. And you know what I mean? Let's
Yeah,
go for like, what would you call this window? Like, beyond, like, sometimes it got tough.
I wouldn't say I ever wanted to quit, but I would say like probably like, I mean, I kind of had like that plateau in the fall where it was like, and it's once again, it's a patience thing. But I plateaued in the fall for a couple months, and it was like
Mhm.
I think I came on here one day, and it was like, Cole, like I just need something. Like I need to change something. Like I need you to get so nitpicky. Like I'm sitting at 89 right now. Like I've topped 89 the last 3 weeks. Like something's going on. Um, and I think that had to be September, October in there. Um, where it was just like this crazy plateau after like PRing like 3 weeks in a row. But that just goes back to like I think this is another thing we talked about last week was like the long process. That was the time where I realized like this is a process. This is a long process and this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. There's not going to be a magic pill. There's not going to be one adjustment that brings you from 89 to 92. There's not going to be a magic pill that takes you from 81 to 91. It's a long process, and like if you talk to anybody, any major league pitcher, anybody who throws hard ever, they will tell you that, hey, like this took years for me to do. That was like the biggest realization at that point, and that's why I stuck with it. And it was never like oh, I want to quit. It was like I just have to trust it.
Mhm. Well, it's like we talked about last. That's what we've talked about last. Like, you have to be
Hmm.
impatiently patient, right? Like,
Hmm.
you have to have the impatience that you keep working your ass off each and every day, but you have to know that it will come eventually, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go into the program a little bit. What does a normal week actually look like? Describe both the in season we did and the off season. How we structured
So
those things.
in season was obviously I was a starter, Saturday starter. So Sundays were no throw. try to get my body moving a little bit. I'd do a little bit of extra arm care or whatever. Monday was hybrid day, I think. Hybrid day and a lift. I usually kept those pretty light, especially towards the end of the season. Because during the season we're so worried about recovery during the week. Like that's the biggest thing during the week is recovering from the 100 pitches that you threw on Saturday. And then Tuesday recovery day. Wednesday was my or sorry, Tuesday was recovery day and mobility and arm care. And then Wednesday was my pen day. That pen day usually was anywhere from 80 to 90%, depending on how I felt. Because once again, trying to recover and
Mhm.
and then also lift after that. And then towards the end of the season, we were doing no throw recovery on Thursdays, which was huge. Um, and then Friday was a light day with mobility, and then, or sorry, no, Thursday was the mobility, and then Friday was the light throwing day, and then Saturday was obviously my start day. And then now in the summer, it's uh, we're obviously in kind of a mini velo phase, where we're trying to throw the ball as hard as we can on Mondays, and then hitting a big lift. And then Tuesdays are the recovery days, those light days where I earn the next high intent day, with mobility and extra arm care. And then Wednesdays are a lighter intent mound day, with some athletic series on the mound, which is one of my favorite things
Mhm.
that we do, the hop series, and then a lift. And then Thursday is same as Tuesday, and then Friday is my bullpen day, my high intent bullpen day, or lives, or whatever. It's a high intent day on the mound,
Right.
um, with a lift, and then Saturday is the same as Tuesday and Thursday, and then there's also conditioning on Tuesday and Thursday.
So you went through the week a little bit, but what percentage would you put on as high intent throwing, and how much would you say is the boring stuff?
It's like it's like 80% boring stuff. It's like, and like I don't even think it's that boring,
Right.
but like it's 80% low intent, you're probably making, you're making 24 high intent throws on Monday. On Wednesday you're 80 to 90% off the mound on that hop series, and then that bullpen is 70 to 80%. And then Friday is like it's more or less a game day. So I think I made 40. I threw like 40 pitches on Friday in live ABs. Obviously, that doesn't count like warm ups and
Mhm.
all that other stuff, but it's probably 80% of, hey, like what you're doing today is not gonna be sexy.
Mhm.
Um, the Mondays and Fridays are the days where it's like, all right, like you know, let's throw on some Metallica on the speakers, and let's get after it a little bit. But those days in between are you have 3 days in there, 4 days, and they're pretty much where you're not throwing at your max intent.
Do you ever find, or have you through the process ever caught yourself getting caught up chasing one good number or letting one bad number mess with your head?
Oh, 100%. Oh yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, the velo phase in the winter was like, for one, like I just radar guns are like my worst enemy, and then on a day that's not a game day, um, and two, it was always like that. Like it's a love hate relationship with the velo phases, because it's like it's either like you get like a massive ego boost from that particular velo day, or it's you're just like depressed for like an hour afterwards, because you're like, damn, like I just pulled down like 88, like what's wrong with me? you know
Right.
um but I will say, like like on the mound days, like I was definitely chasing the big 90 or the 91, 92s. But like once again, like what I didn't understand was like and I do now, like we've talked about it too, like you cannot be attached to those numbers. Like the only numbers that you need to be attached to are the numbers that you get in game, you know? Um, and even those numbers are like, it is what it is, you know? But um, I think the first velo phase, I definitely over attached myself to the velocity numbers on some of those velo days, and it was like, dang, like I just suck at baseball. but
Oh, but that's a natural thing though.
yeah, um, but you know, it's kind of another one of those things where it's like in training you have to put your ego aside. You know, you can't have an ego when you're training, because it'll kind of kill you. You know,
Right.
um, it'll make you impatient, or you know, you'll lose your confidence. You know, and you can't do that because when you get on the mound with the batter in the box, like none of that shit matters. You know,
Right.
obviously, like it matters that you were training, but I mean, like the numbers that you get from those training sessions do not matter when you get a
Well,
batter in the
but
box.
it's like you said, like you do the training to put you in a position to succeed, right? And like where
Mhm.
like like you said, like it doesn't matter in the sense that you've done the stuff to put you in the position
Yeah,
that you don't need to worry about all the training that you've done because
yeah,
now it's about just competing, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly.
There are a lot of people who think that guys throw harder after surgery because of the surgery. Is that true in your eyes?
No, no, no. We talked about this too. I mean, listen, the obviously repairing structural damage to your body is important,
Mhm.
but if you skip out on the physical therapy, if you skip out on all the strengthening that you do after your surgery, you're not just going to magically throw harder. That's just not that's not how it works. You know, we've seen, if anybody who pays attention to Major League Baseball has seen Jacob DeGrom come back from two Tommy Johns and throw harder both times. But what you don't understand is it's not the new UCL that he has in his elbow. It's all of the training that he did in the months afterwards. It's all the mobility, all the internal and external rotation that he did, all of the flexion, extension, pronation, and supination that he did. It's all of those little things. Once again, the boring things that you have to do after your surgery that gets you back and throwing harder. I mean, I'm throwing harder now than I was before surgery.
Mhm.
And I'm like I can tell you with 100% certainty, it's not the fact that I have four anchors in my shoulder. It's the fact that I was meticulous about my physical therapy. And then when I was done with physical therapy, I started a program that continued to strengthen everything that I needed to be strengthened, you know,
Right,
and continued
exactly.
to keep me healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's move into give me the exact velocity timeline post surgery to now.
So post surgery, I think in my first like high intent bullpen post surgery, I hit like 81.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't like I was sitting like 78, 79. Which once again is like, you know, that was 7 months post op or 6 months, 7 months post op, 7 months post op. And that was after a doctor ordered throwing program. I actually got put on the same throwing program as Garrett Cole did. It was
Yeah.
actually kind of cool, um, but um, and then kind of as I progressed through those next few months leading up to like the 9 month mark when I first played in games and stuff. And obviously I was back earlier than most guys
Right.
take 10, 11, even a year, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but I got back in games like at the 8.5, 9 month mark.
Yeah.
So I was 81 in that first bullpen, and then kind of progressed. The next month I was like 84, and then I think I hit like 86
Yeah.
or something like that in a summer ball game, or well, like it was like a scrimmage game, and then we started working together again when I was finally like fully healthy. And let's see, like it was like I got to Paul D camp in the fall, and it was like I hit 87 the first week, I hit 88 the next week, and then I hit 89 the week after that.
Yeah.
It's like 3 weeks in a row of
Yeah.
like we had been training for a couple months, and it was like just everything like blew up,
Right.
and then um during the season this year, I kind of got stuck at 89 for a little bit, like I said,
Yeah.
and then I hit 90 in a velo day in the fall or in the
Right.
winter, and then hit 91, 92 in the spring.
So what in the span of like what 5 months you jumped up 10 miles an hour?
Yeah. um yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's impressive the level you were where you were post op to now where you are. It's
Yeah.
just and like and now like where are we planning to be? Like, should everything stay on the same trajectory? Like, where are we going to be when we roll into Stonehill in the fall?
Hopefully sitting low nines,
Yeah.
maybe touching like the 3 or 4. That would be massive. You know, I pulled down 127 miles an hour yesterday, so
We
I
did
think
do
I think
that.
we got. um, I think we're gonna be there, and if not, when I first get there, I will be there very soon after, but like I said earlier, it's a process.
Right.
This has been a 3-year process for me, of getting injured, coming back without surgery, getting surgery, like, because I remember even when I was coming back without surgery, like I got on the mound, and this is once again while we were working together. I got on the mound and I threw like an 80% bullpen, and I was like sitting what I was sitting in game,
Right.
at 100% before, if it was just the fact that I had a torn labrum,
Just easy stuff
yeah,
now.
yeah. Um, and obviously when I got back from surgery, it was so frustrating because it was like I had this perception of like I feel it's supposed to be higher after surgery, but once again, it's a process, it wasn't it wasn't like I was gonna get on the mound at 7 months post-op and be hucking BBs,
Mhm.
it was a process, and I didn't understand that. Like, I remember my dad was at my bullpen, my first bullpen, and I talked to him afterwards. I was like, dude, like I didn't even know what I'm doing right now. He's just like, you just have to give it time, man. I was just like, yeah, 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 whatever, whatever. And then obviously I gave it time, and it was, I climbed back up there. So,
What's changed in the weight room since we started too? Because I think most people will watch this and think this is just purely a throwing and mobility plan.
um,
What have we done in regards to strength training? Like, how's the weight room changed for you?
once again, the structure is the biggest thing. But at the same time, tracking my weights and tracking where I've been is so huge too. And then on top of that, like, you are going to do things in the weight room that might make you look a little stupid to somebody who has no idea what baseball training looks like. Like front squats. Like I've been doing Zercher squats, right?
Mhm.
Like that's not a normal movement. You're gonna do some hip flexor stuff that looks a little weird. I think that the biggest thing that's changed from like my freshman year of college to now is the fact that I'm not scared to train heavy. Obviously, like we play a sport where if you look at college baseball players at the Division 1 level, those guys are huge, and you look at Major League Baseball players, those guys are huge. Like, you have to be training heavy. If you're not, then you're doing it wrong.
Right.
Um, I think the biggest change is like, how do I explain this? It's not just like you're not just going to the weight room and doing 3 sets of bench and 3 sets of bicep curls and 3 sets of box jumps or whatever you think you're going to do for your
Mhm.
athletic movements that day. We have the different cycles. Like this week we have 4x8s on the main movements. Like last week it was 4x10s, the week before it was 3x10s. Like, it changes every week, you know to where you can progressively you can hit that progressive overload, and you can not only gain strength, but like your weight room numbers will shoot up so fast. Like, I mean, I hit uh I was hitting 3 rep PRs at 245 on my Zercher squat in the winter, and I just did 255 for 8 reps yesterday on a Zercher. um and it was like RPE like 7, maybe seven and a
Right.
half. Like that's like the biggest thing is like I'm not scared to train heavy in the gym anymore. You have to like, it's another thing where you have to put the ego aside. Like, you have to be okay with failure in the weight room.
Mhm.
You have to be okay with hey, like, if I push as hard as I can and I don't get that ninth rep or that 10th rep or whatever, like, you have to kind of be okay with it, because hey, like, you tried to hit a PR that day. Um, so I'd definitely say that's the biggest change is I'm not scared of going heavy in the gym.
250 on the Searcher squat for a six.
Eight
Well,
for
what was
eight.
like eight? So what
Yeah.
like in like that's a, like well, like that, like your deadlift, like we've talked about your deadlift number a bunch of times
Yeah.
now. Like what are you at there?
Um, let's see. So in the winter when we did our PR week, it was 465. And then I just did, let's see, last week it was, or not last week, maybe it was the week before. I got 435 for 10. Like, it's the like it's the same thing, like you're like, I'm either hitting old PRs for more reps, or I'm getting closer to those PRs for high reps, and it's like you can tell the difference between, like, even my mom says, like, she could tell, like, I look different.
Right,
I look like a college baseball player,
right.
instead of like a scrawny little 18-year
You
old
you
like I was
you
when I
you
went to
look the
college.
part now. Like
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
regardless of your performance on the mound, you look the
Hmm.
part now, which is
Pass the eye
like
test.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, considering all the throwing that we do, all the mobility that we do, all the arm care, all the lifting, how much, if you had to put a number on it, how much time would you say you actually, how much time it actually takes week in and week out? Like between all the throwing, the recovery, the lifting, like how many hours throughout the week do you say you're actually putting into this?
I mean, I'd say like the longer days, the higher intent days with the lift and everything, like, I'd say 4.5-ish hours on those days. Maybe 5, depending on how slow I am eating in between and stuff like that.
But these are not like
Um,
like in consecutive, like
no,
a solid five
no,
hour. Yeah.
no. It's like, I'll spend 2 hours at the field and then an hour and a half ish, maybe 2 hours at the gym. Once again,
Yeah.
depending on how much time I take in between sets, whatever. Um, and then like the lighter days, like, you're spending an hour at the field and an hour at the gym. It's 2.5, maybe 3 hours if you're going slow that day. Like,
Mhm.
it's not like you're taking a super large portion of your day. Once again, it all depends on, because on, especially on high intent days, like, I'll go throw and then I'll come home and eat. Like, I'll talk to my mom and hang out for a second, and then I'll go to the gym. Like, that obviously like elongates it a little bit, but in terms of just like the training, like where I'm actually active, it's probably 4 hours,
Mhm.
on those high intent days, and probably 2, maybe 3 max on those lower intent days. It's not, you're not training for 8 hours a day. You're not spending 4 hours in the gym because you don't need to.
Right.
Um, you're not spending 4 hours at the field because, once again, you don't need to. Um, it's 2 hours at the field and 2 hours in the gym.
So we talked about last week that this these are that this is your first fully healthy
Yeah.
summer in
Yeah.
God knows how long.
2 years.
2 years.
Actually, well,
Well,
almost 3. Yeah.
but like built on top of all the combination of things, like the way you approach yourself, like what has actually changed to allow you to be fully healthy for the first time in 2 years going into a summer where you can just like we talked about this last week, like you can actually just do the things you want to do now.
Yeah. Um, I mean, kind of going back to it, like I'm just more diligent about what I'm doing. You know, I'm taking everything in stride. Like I had like that little pronator thing at the end of the season this year, and it was just like, all right, like the new goal for the summer was to just bulletproof everything. Instead of getting healthy, we're now focusing on staying healthy. In that little thing, and like in those little things, like we added in like the YCTER on the recovery days. We added in the flexion,
Yeah.
extension, pronation, supination stuff on those recovery days, and um obviously, like we've talked about the little stuff a lot, like that's so huge. But on top of that, in the weight room, like once again, I'm not scared to go heavy anymore because I know that I am fully healthy. Um, and then on those high intent throwing days, I'm not scared to throw a ball hard because I know that I am fully healthy. And like as we progress through um all of the velo days and everything else, like we're just raising that capacity now for me to throw harder, and me to get higher numbers in the weight room, and for me to move better in the mobility on the mobility days and stuff like that. Like that, I'd say that's like the biggest change. The biggest thing between like this summer, last summer is the fact that like, hey, like I can do everything now, and without a mental like, hey, like you're gonna get hurt again.
Right. And that's such a
Mhm.
huge thing to just have a relief from that small little voice in the back of your head, right?
Yep. Yep.
So who would you say this whole program is for? Like, and who is it not for?
I'd say it's for the players. Um, you know, uh, I'd brag on Cole every day of the week, because everything is so centered on what the player is feeling and their, deficiencies. Like I will say, like probably the most boring thing I've ever done in this program is the movement screening, but it's like probably like the most important thing because
Right.
you're gonna look at all the video and you're gonna say, oh, well, your ankles aren't mobile enough. And then you're gonna be doing ankle mobility for 3 weeks or a month or whatever it was. True story.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Very
True
true story.
story.
Very true story.
Um, um, and like it's all tailored for the player. None of it none of it's for the content, none of it's for the oh yeah, like I got a kid from 81 to 85 in 2 months. Like you're not gonna like that's not what it is. It's all for the process of the player. I mean, even if you just go look at your Instagram, like if you just like scroll through Cole's Instagram for like an hour, like you're gonna learn so much about trading for baseball.
Oh,
and
thank you.
and you'll see a couple like really cool edits in there that I'm in. They're
Oh
pretty
yeah.
sick, but but um but yeah, I mean it's all for the player. It's all for the
Yeah.
player. There's not a single part of it that's like eye washy. That's just like, oh yeah, just so you can say that you programmed it. Like no, like
Right.
it's all for the benefit of the player.
So if someone had already has DM'd me or maybe DM'd you or has done a Zoom call or whatever, and they're still sitting on the fence on whether to actually commit into a program like this, what would you tell them?
Take a leap. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Let's just do it. I mean, that's that's
It's
that's
kind of like
that's
what you
really
just
the
kind of
only
just
thing I
says
can
like
say.
it's the fuck it
Yeah,
thing.
it's the fuck it. Like that's what it is. Like it's it's kind of intimidating when you first look at it. It might be more than you've ever done. You're going to be very sore for the first 3 weeks, and you're gonna have to work through it. I will say, like the first like few weeks of training, a couple years ago when I first started, like the weight room was like kind of brutal because it was like never done this much, never done these movements. Like I was sore. Like I was going into the gym sore. But it's another one of those things where it's like you have to take the leap, the
Right.
leap of faith of hey, like this is going to work. I
Right.
just have to give it time.
Yeah.
I mean, even like coming back this summer like after the season and stuff, and we started training like dude, the first week or 2 weeks or whatever, it was brutal. Like it was brutal because it was coming off a full season of like, hey, like I have to focus on recovery. Like we're only going to do 2 sets in the gym
Yeah.
this week, stuff like that, and then we're going to go compete our asses off on Saturday. To all right, like you're gonna get in the weight room and you're gonna push 3x5s and you're gonna go heavy in the weight room today. Um, like that's you have to be mentally strong enough to handle something like that. And honestly, if you're not mentally strong enough to handle the training, you're probably not mentally strong enough to handle the competition either.
Mhm.
So that's I will say like that is the thing. Like you have to say fuck it. You just have to do it. Because if you do the training and you will be mentally stronger after the training. Like that's not a question, because it's hard. Like it's not easy. It's never easy. Uh, but you're going to be stronger and you're going to be better and you're going to be able to compete better and mentally like we've talked about the mental side a lot too. Like the program that I've been on has helped me mentally because like by that third superset on a long day in the gym, you do not want to do it.
Mm.
You don't want to do it. I mean, that's especially on a heavy day where you just hit a PR or squatted or whatever. Like that third superset where you have three movements in a row and it's like, Nordic ham glutes, or with the yoga push up and a uh shit, what's it called? Um I forget what it's called,
Yeah.
but um like you don't want to do it, but like you have to do it, you know.
Mm.
Uh and that will in turn make you mentally stronger. Like you're not only getting better physically, but you're getting better mentally in the program. Like that's the bottom line.
Right. That's no, that's awesome, dude. So it's like, mm, yeah, the whole process is just it's all laid out there for you, and
Yeah.
it's just like you just got to do it, and it's gonna work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
is there
That's
anything else you want to say? Well, we still got the camera rolling.
um if you don't work with Cole, start working with Cole because this guy's got it.
Oh
He's
God.
got it. Trust.
Oh God. Uh,